Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Gavel Gang Podcast, an insight into the collections we get here at Ewbank's auction house in Surrey. Hello, well here I am today with Blair, the Bond Vivant, and he's coming to Ewbank to do a video with Alistair about the Steve Oxenrider collection, part 2 I think.
Yeah, part 2. Yeah.
And I thought while you're here, borrow you for 10 minutes, just have a walk around the sale room, look at some of the interesting items, and talk Bond for 10 minutes.
No problem at all.
Okay,
Great
well,
stuff.
straight ahead of us, what's this? This is one of those targets, Ministry of Defence target, the sort of thing that spins around and someone like Bond would shoot at from The World Is Not Enough. Do you think that's the sort of thing that would cause excitement in an auction?
I would love to have that in my Bondgen. My Bond room would be. I think it's absolutely perfect. It's something that that reeks of Bond. You've got the outline of looks like some sort of dodgy Eastern Bloc soldier that you're supposed to pop a few bullets at, pop a few caps at. I mean, it's really cool. It's in mint condition as well. I mean, that's what I love about the variety of stuff you can get here at Ewbank. I mean, you're very well known for your Bond auctions, and I bought stuff from you guys in the past. There's a sort of chemical drum underneath, isn't there?
Looks like Russian writing.
It is, yeah. Raketnya Topliva Ognia Pasna. Yeah.
Now I'm going to guess is that from something like GoldenEye, or
it could be another one from The World Is Not Enough. I've got something from The World Is Not Enough, which is similar. It's a green one, and actually just repurposed, kind of like containers you get from warehouses. But they paint off, obviously stencil on the Russian writing. It's really cool, and it's a fun thing to have. You can have it in your have in your bar or whatever and put your drinks on.
Well, I just think I actually need a new laundry basket, so that might be kind of fun. Is that the right size?
But it's so cool. I mean, the amount of the attention to detail they put in, if you look at all of the props they use, and the paper props as well, Eon really go above and beyond, because they put in sort of back history and stuff inside the folders that are never actually seen on set, but they help the actors get into their role.
So Eon is the production company that makes Bond.
Yeah. They hold the rights to the Ian Fleming books to make into films. Cubby Broccoli, back in the day, set up the company. It actually stands for Everything or Nothing. That's EON, Eon. But yeah, they've controlled the Bond rights, and they've made all the films. And obviously, it's his daughter Barbara Broccoli and his stepson Michael G. Wilson who hold the reins at the moment.
Both names I've heard of.
Yeah, for the Bond franchise, and they've been steering it. I mean, GoldenEye was the last film that Cubby Broccoli was involved in, and then he sadly passed away. But he was alive to see the GoldenEye kind of reintroduce Bond to a new audience with Pierce Brosnan, and the success it's enjoyed. I mean, obviously it's a $1 billion franchise. They've gone. The Bond 26 is hopefully going to start production soon. They've been keeping their cards very close to their chests about a new Bond and how they're going to reboot the franchise. Obviously after the departure.
That is a big conundrum for them, because obviously I almost feel like they went for broke, killing him off, because after the pandemic they really needed people to go to the cinema, and they just showed their ace, and now they're like, now what do we do?
Exactly, they're kind of painting themselves into a corner. I think it was Barbara Broccoli had a secret kind of crush on Daniel Craig and would do absolutely anything to keep him in the franchise. And
I mean, I have.
I think most, exactly. I mean, exactly. I don't mind freely admitting he's a good-looking guy, but they have kind of like shot themselves slightly in the foot, because how are they going to reboot it now? I mean, they've got the problem of not just casting, but how they're going to reboot the franchise. Are they going to go back and basically have the timeline back to the Sean Connery to Pierce Brosnan kind of timeline, and ignore Daniel Craig completely, and just carry on with Bond just walking into the office and like, yep, hello M, I'm hi there Bond, and what have you? Or do they do another reboot like they did with Casino Royale with Daniel Craig, and have him going back in time, and maybe still in the Navy, because he was a naval commander Bond, obviously. Maybe have that, and him still in the Navy, and then be seconded into
because they could do a period piece, set it back in the 60s, but has Bond well, it has always been contemporary, hasn't it? It's always been in today's world.
Well, again, looking around at all the merchandise that you've got coming through the auction house, I mean, that's one of the big cash generators for the franchise. And I think the problem would be, that there are a lot of product placements in the Bond film, BMW being a massive one, obviously Amiga and so on.
Yeah.
And doing a period piece would be, I'd love them to do that.
Yeah.
And have Bond back in the 50s and 60s, looking, a very similar style to what they did with the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah.
When they took that back to the 60s. It was really great. I love that feeling. And to be honest, they make enough money with the actual films to not really have to worry about too much about product placement.
Could it flip from film franchise to TV?
Well, I mean, obviously Amazon have got a huge stake in 50% stake, or virtually 50% stake in the franchise. I think they're going to want to get their money back because they recoup their investment, because they did spend a lot of money on the actual franchise itself, and I think that that's one of the options. I'd certainly welcome that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where they could do the retro look back to the 50s and 60s. But Barbara Broccoli herself has always said, no, we need the cinematic experience for Bond.
I'm with her, but
Yeah, but the thing is, we've been so starved of content. Bond fans have been aching. I mean, it was delayed after delayed after delayed.
They make us wait, don't they?
They do. They keep us on tenterhooks. But the fact is that with the pandemic, they wanted to have full houses to watch the latest Bond film. They kind of had delayed 2 or 3 times, and people had got slightly hacked off. And then, with the bit of a downer, which No Time to Die was, with the ending that they had. They need to keep people excited about Bond, and we had the 007 Road to a Million kind of race around the world series that Amazon did, which kind of fell slightly flat for me. It didn't feel very Bondy. They had Bond locations, but the actual format was just basically a race around the world. You didn't have to have any James Bond knowledge to.
Bit tenuous, the Bond connection.
Bit flimsy, bit wacko thin. I mean, by the end it had sort of found its feet, but I didn't really root for many of the contestants. I thought the nurses, if you watched the nurses, were good. They were good value. But for me, they could have done so much more. They could have made it more a fan service for us real fans. And still made it fun and exciting and globe-trotting, but have a bit more Bond influence. Really.
Well, let's continue with our window shopping.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much to look for.
Quite a few bits in here I wouldn't mind a bit on myself.
I mean,
in fact, here's one of my favourites. Now, I don't know if you're a big fan of the cars. You must be.
Sure.
But one of my favourite cars is the Toyota.
Oh yes,
which was from You Only Live Twice.
It's
a beautiful little model there, made by Corgi.
Yeah. I saw as well around the corner there's a kit you can make as well, the Toyota 2000 GT. Amazing story. I mean, they basically wanted to cash in on the E-Type Jaguar. It's got a very similar sort of look to it, but the actual car itself, when they turned up on set, was actually a hardtop. But Sean Connery couldn't fit in. He's 6 foot whatever, and he couldn't shoehorn himself in. So Toyota said, "Don't worry, we've got that sorted." And they took the car away and just literally cut the roof off, to put a bit of strengthening in to make sure it wasn't too floppy as a convertible, and then turn up on set. And so that's why, and it's absolutely iconic. I mean, it's one of my favourite Bond cars. Uber rare. You can buy the hardtops. Occasionally they come up for auction, but they regularly make sort of nudging a million pounds.
Okay, I better take that off my shopping list.
Well,
maybe the model.
The model will be okay. I mean, we don't know how much it's going for.
I don't know how much Alice would know, but it's got a secret compartment hidden in the box.
Oh yeah,
with little documents. And what that is,
I love that.
Is the instructions for those little missiles that go in the back. I can't remember what gadgets that had. I think missiles in the rear.
I mean, in the actual film, they had like a little TV screen and he's talking to Tiger. He's got the
Tiger Tanaka.
Exactly, and they're talking about and there was a kind of like a car behind us, a black Mariah, a black car behind, which was full of baddies, and they got the helicopter to come and pick it up with a magnet and then drop it in Tokyo Bay. But that's Japanese efficiency. Random fact though, you had the helmet that Sean Connery wore, when they came up for auction, I think a prop store in fact, which Sean Connery wore in Little Nelly, with a cine camera. Yeah, but that lens was the same one that was used in the actual car itself. They're really expensive at the time. Really, they could have just picked any old lens, but they picked this particular one, and it's really, really expensive lens. I did a video about it, about the helmet itself. And but they use the same lens for that in the Toyota itself. So yeah, but
another of my favourite cars is, well, not in the film for very long, it's in For Your Eyes Only. Now we all know the Lotus Turbo Esprit in Spy Who Loved Me, obviously the white one submerges. This for me is just as good as that. It's that, I don't know what colour you call it.
It's copper fire metallic.
Oh right, so you know the colour. But
yeah.
With obviously with the skis on the top, looks so cool. If I remember, it had quite a fearsome burglar alarm.
Yeah, no, the white one, because the initial one in the first part of the film, when he's actually going to the baddies hideout near Madrid, he's in a white one with kind of red striping on the side, and it's got the burglar protected on the outside, and then the guy tries to break in with his gun, and the whole thing explodes. So he says later on, "Oh, I see you put the Lotus back together again when you see in Q, and it's actually a different car, obviously." But they've had to paint it that colour because it was going to be in Cortina for the snow scenes, and the white car wouldn't show up against the white of the snow. So they painted this beautiful copper.
So was that not a factory colour?
No, it's made specially so that it would be good against the white of the snow. And I did a video up at the Top Gear test track with a guy who actually had the white, normal S1 Lotus Esprit, the one from Spy Love Me. But he also bought a turbo and had it painted exactly. He went out to America to the Deezer collection, and they have the one of the cars was actually used in the film and got exactly the right number of the flake.
Wow.
And he's got the skis on the back. He actually had to have a metal plate put in the back where the skis are mounted on because it wasn't strong enough for the actual chassis. But I drove it on the Top Gear test track, and it's my dream car. This is my absolute dream car. That colour and the Lotus itself.
Well, I think we're in tune with the cars that we like.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got a DB5 Aston here, obviously from Goldfinger. My dad was really lucky enough to have a DB6 Mark II, and he sold it before I got my driving license. I was absolutely gutted. But again, I mean, I was still the Lotus. I think would pip it for me. I think that the Aston obviously is iconic. But it's a bit, it's a bit too in your face. I'm a Bond
I'd take
fan.
the Lotus.
I'd
actually take the little 2CV from For Your Eyes Only as well.
At the same time, when we were on the Top Gear test track, one of the other Bond fans brought along, they had limited editions of the 2CV that were sold. And with all the decals, on with the bullet holes and so on.
I've seen that on, not far from here, years ago on the road. It was that going past with the 007, somewhere near Clarendon.
Could be.
And it might have been one of those as well. There's a couple of Bond cars on the road, just drove past, and I had to rub my eyes,
Could have been
do
on
a double take like the guy in
St.
Mark's Square.
Oh yeah, and also the pigeon as well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I had a 2CV when I was in my gap year between school and university, and they're just wonderful. I loved it. I borrowed a friend of mine's for a year, and it was just the best car. It was such good fun, and I think really versatile. And the story of how it came about. The actual Citroën were tasked with making a car that could take a farmer and his wife to market.
With the eggs,
not spilling any of the eggs over a corrugated of a recently ploughed field. You can either have I can't remember, it's like 100 weight of spuds in the back or a keg of beer, and be able to have their hats on going to church without having to take them off. I mean, brilliant design. I mean, I think it's one of my favourite kind of retro cars, and might get one for my daughter, but absolutely fantastic. I died so easily to digress.
Well, I think we've got time for a couple more.
Sure.
We can look at these all day.
Let's look. Well, let's see. I mean,
some watches here.
Oh, nice. I know. I mean, I'm a big watch guy. I'm an Amiga guy. I've got a Seamaster from Pierce Brosnan's era, and also a Planet Ocean from Daniel Craig from Casino Royale. But the digital ones, absolutely fan. I mean, obviously more associated with the Roger Moore era. Oh, this was a brilliant one. I think we did a video on this one in part 1.
Tell us what that is. That's a strange looking thing.
It is. I mean, it's actually a radio. It's got a radio built into it, and you plug your headphones. It's got a little kind of headphone jack there.
Big, uncomfortable looking square block of a watch.
Yeah, it's not massively svelte and sexy, but it's great fun. But you could put 007 and James Bond on most things, and it would all automatically be uber cool. And this one here, is still part of this, the Steve Oxenrider collection, and it's again unopened. All of the pieces are there, and it's been, it's pristine condition. They're not been taken out of the box.
And the
at all.
artwork almost looks like Roger Moore.
Well, it's pretty. I think it's pretty good for Roger. I mean, a lot of them they have to use a sort of facsimile of Roger Moore and Sean Connery and the other Bonds.
Again, not quite right on the gun. Not sure.
Well, the gun there, that looks like they're using the old the air pistol that they used for Sean Connery. Again, it's like a .22 air pistol, so not lethal by any stretch of imagination, but it became a kind of like a Bond, the other Bond gun. And obviously got
okay,
a PPK, but that's the kind of, but it's only an air pistol, so it's like a target shooting pistol. So it's but it looked good in Sean Connery's hand for the photo opportunities.
Oh, I see.
So for the art, very famous artwork From Russia with Love. Some of the other pictures as well. He's holding this, and it's iconic, but it's a bit of all show and no go.
I'm putting myself in the mind of a child in the 70s. Well, I was a child in the 70s, so it's not too hard. This is the bit that would have sold me in red, in a secret earphone.
Secret. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not secret; it's written on the packet. But I would have been absolutely sold on that. Thinking at school, secret earphone.
You can listen in to what your mates are saying. Exactly. Who's fancying who. But yeah, I think it's great fun. And Steve's collection is, 32,000 pieces in total.
Wow.
Absolutely immense. He's a legend in the Bond community and in the collecting community at large. He fanatically collected everything from back, started in 1965.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, and so he's got, his collection is vast. That's why here at Ewbank, you've got to break up the collection into different kind of tranches. So
if he hadn't sold them, he could have opened a museum.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. But but it's lucky for some new collectors, and it gives people the opportunity to have things in absolutely as new condition.
Do you think it's fair to say someone like Steve has saved certain items from total obscurity, from vanishing completely?
Absolutely, I think that's absolutely right, and it's amazing what people do collect, but there is something for absolutely everybody. There are watch guys out there are poster guys out there who've been serviced, some of the pieces that have come under auction here from his collection, try and find me another one. And again, he was so fanatical about preserving them and keeping them stored correctly, so that the new owners will have something that's absolutely, incredibly unique and pristine, and it's thanks to guys like you guys at Ewbank for spreading the good word. I think Steve chose you because of the fact that you're very good with Bond auctions, but also that you've also got the British connection as well. He could have sold them in America, but I think I'm really glad he chose Ewbank and chose the British auction house to
one that's not a million miles from all the great film studios like Pinewood.
Well, exactly, absolutely.
Well, I think we've got time for one more item. Why don't you pick one, and then... This
was great. I had a chat to Alistair about this. We chatted about this. It's a 007 attaché case, but it's one for kids, and it's all plastic, but it's got absolutely mint. It's still got cellophane on it. But it's got, it's a kind of mimicking the one that was used in From Russia with Love.
With this strip of Krugerrands on it.
Yes, exactly. Gold coins. This one, those go for like £20,000, and I remember reviewing one here at Ewbanks a couple of years ago when it went under the gavel. This, I think, was much more reasonably. this is like in the £1,000 to £2,000 range, but still for a toy, that's pretty incredible. But it's got the actual gun itself, as well as you've got passports, you've got code books, you've got it's just, if I was a kid on Christmas morning having received that. Absolutely, mind blowing. And taking it to school with showing your mates. You'd be a hero, absolute hero. So you can understand why the prices. Because you've got people like us who at the time maybe you had one of these but used it.
Yeah.
To have one in sort of mint condition, box fresh, still with a cellophane wrapper on. it's just absolutely incredible. I also, just quickly, there are lots of these action sets you've got that Steve collected. They've got some of the big characters. You've got Odd Job, and you've got Emilio Largo and Domino, Petacci, but they've also got dioramas. So you've got over here quickly. They've got the laser table here as well, which I think is absolutely brilliant. You've got the laser table, you've also got the with Goldfinger and Bond, obviously. How's he going to get out of that? And then you've also got the scene in Kentucky with Goldfinger is explaining his plans for Operation Grand Slam with the pool table that spins round and has got the actual the blueprint, the kind of map of Fort Knox and how they're going to break in. I mean, I just think, there's so much fun and whimsy in there, and it's great fun because of Bond fever. They could make these things, but the fact that Steve has got these in mint condition, still boxed, it's a shame to open.
And now, these are 1965, so
yeah,
60 years old next year.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. I mean, Goldfinger's celebrating its 60th anniversary this year, and then you've got Thunderball coming up next year. So a lot of these are from Thunderball. You've got the Goldfinger ones behind there, but I mean, just so cool, so cool. I mean, I just, if my numbers came up in the lottery, I was, I'd be going to clean you guys out, I think.
Well, it does feel a bit like being in a Bond museum here today, and I could look at it all day. But I know you've got to get back into your car outside. What's waiting for you outside? A Lotus Turbo Spray?
I wish. Yeah, unfortunately, it's in the shop at the moment, so I had to bring the Aspen instead today. So But it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You too. You're a fountain of knowledge on the Bond, so always a pleasure to talk to you, and see you next time.
Thanks very much, John.
Thanks.
See you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Gavel Gang Podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, please subscribe and take a look at the Ewbank's website for more information on this and upcoming auctions. Until next time, going.